All right, so we're gonna go ahead and get started. So, hey everybody, I'm Mia Edgerton Fulton, and I am one of the co-founders of Scholar Scouts, and I'm also a biomedical sciences PhD candidate at Medical University of South Carolina. And this is such a special day to me because I am part of the SMDP program, and so are our guest speakers that we have today. So I'm very excited about how the power of networking has led us. So go ahead, DJ, before start running my mouth too much.
Okay, my name is Donald Fulton. I'm also a co-founder. I am a clinical research manager at Rowan University. But I mean, you on the roll. I'm gonna let you take that away and continue with that because I mean, I've heard so much great things about the SMDP program, and I'm honored to be in the company of the scholars at SMDP. So you take that away. You was on the roll.
Yeah. All right. So I guess like the way we'll do this, so since we have three panelists, we'll start first with Erin, then Jessica, and then Colin. So we'll have our first question. So do you want to start with the first
Yeah,
one?
I'll start off.
Okay.
So, give a brief introduction of yourself, including your education backgrounds. So we're
All
just
right,
gonna.
awesome. Yeah, so Aaron Christopher Johnson, everybody. Nice to be here. I'm originally from Georgia, Augusta, Georgia. I went to undergrad at Savannah State, the University by the Sea. And then after graduating from there in 2016, I took a gap year. So I took a few extra classes that I needed to actually apply to pharmacy school just because I didn't take them to get my degree. And that's where I ended up in Ann Arbor, Michigan, probably the coldest place I've ever been in my whole life. So I was there for 4 years out in the Midwest. And so I finished there in 2019, and now I'm on fellowship with Organon. We're a women's health company, and we're partnered with FAMU. So I'm sure a lot of people know, Florida A&M University College of Pharmacy. If you don't know, and so that's where I'm at now, and I'll be there till June 2025.
Hello, everyone. My name is Jessica Nwabuoku. I graduated from the Howard University College of Pharmacy last May. And I'm currently with Amgen, partnered with the Howard University College of Pharmacy as well in the regulatory affairs.
All right. Can you guys hear me? Give me a thumbs up. Awesome. My name is Collins Asamoah. I'm originally from Philadelphia. I went to undergrad. I did undergrad at Temple University, and also I completed my PharmD degree also at Temple University. So I've pretty much been in Philadelphia my entire life. Um, Now relocated to Atlanta, Georgia. Completed my fellowship here with UCB in affiliation with IPHO. Yeah, and it's been great so far. I'm loving the company. I'm loving Atlanta. So
All right, I got so many great things to say about everybody. You said
Yes,
Philly,
HBCUs.
right? Mecca. I heard, and then the Rattlers. I was like, okay, and of course, Savannah State. Look,
Yeah,
can't leave
we
out.
can't leave out SSU.
You said by the sea. I was like, oh yeah, straight up. So, what motivates you to pursue a fellowship, in the biopharmacy industry?
Are we keeping the same order?
Yeah, same
Yeah,
order.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, perfect. So for me, it was really simple. I went into healthcare really just because I'm like a science nerd and I love just understanding how the body works. And I knew pharmacy by my junior year of college is where I wanted to pursue, really understanding how medicine affects the body. And when I got into pharmacy school, you do get the opportunity to complete your rotation. So IPPES, introductory practice, pharmacy experience, for anybody who doesn't know. And when I was on my hospital rotations, I did a lot of learning and I was really invested in like the clinical aspect of pharmacy and the science, but I wasn't really getting a chance to use a lot of my people skills. I love to talk and really, meet new people and be in different places where I'm learning. And I think the hospital setting or the clinical setting was very routine for me, at least from my experience, doing a lot of the same thing every day, not really doing anything that was different. Of course, you do get patients with unique disease states or maybe you running a clinical trial. But I really like how spontaneous that the industry is. It's always changing. There are always new medications in the pipeline. And then me wanting to be in the field, like constantly meeting new people and being in different settings. That's what drove me towards the industry.
So for me, mine is similar to Aaron. However, in undergrad, I didn't know about pharmacy at all. I originally wanted to be a doctor. But I realized like I personally don't like blood at all, and I thought I was being childish until I realized like there was other people too that didn't like blood as well. So I started working at CVS Pharmacy as a technician, and I just became so intrigued with medications in general. At the time, my dad was pre-diabetic, already taking medications, and I wasn't really interested, because that's his personal belongings. But when I started working in CVS, I started to be interested in what medications he was taking, what he was taking it for. And that's what made me to pursue pharmacy school. Now, while I was in pharmacy school, I was very strategic in gaining different experiences to kind of see what I wanted to do in my career. I personally don't like the hospital at all. I don't like going around. It's not my thing. I just felt like it's more educational based and not more so focused on my skills. I think that I'm very I like to work in my skill. It makes me feel confident. It makes me feel like I'm able to utilize my skills to actually maximize the goal. So I started an internship at J&J, and that's what made me to really fall in love with industry. I love the flexibility. I love being able to collab on different projects, on different teams, work with different people. And of course, it was remote. So that, of course, just blew it off the edge as well. And yeah, I think that's what made me fall in love with the pharmaceutical industry. So even up to this day, when I tell people I'm a pharmacist and I work from home, they're like, "Wait, what? What pharmacist works from home?" But that's why you gotta investigate. You gotta do your research. You gotta see. Like pharmacy is not all about retail and hospital. Like I enjoyed retail because it exposed me to pharmacy and let me know that I was actually interested in the career. But I didn't go into retail thinking like, okay, this is what I wanted to do now. So yeah, definitely important to do your research.
Yeah, I definitely echo a lot of what Jessica and Aaron have said already. Um, and I think for me, I just really fell in love with the idea of, pharma being a non-traditional pathway for students, right? I really wanted to be different in that sense. So as we all know, retail pharmacy, very saturated, at least, where I went to pharmacy school, because we had like 4 different pharmacy schools in the same city, right? So it's like all the retail chains are like hiring a lot of them, once they graduated. So I really wanted to, be different. And also for residency, I also love the idea of, initially when I first started pharmacy school, I was like, oh, I can be a clinical pharmacist in my scrub. It was all for, I don't know, but it just sounded good to me, initially when I started pharmacy school. But then as I progressed through the curriculum and I knew like, this is something that's not for me. Like, it's too clinical. Like, it's I just feel like working by the guidelines, you're so strict, you can't really do much, right? So I just felt like I'm so restricted. So I just began to do my research, like Jessica said, do your research, do your research, do your research. I just began to do more research and I just fell in love with pharma. Initially, I didn't know, what exactly what the pharma company does. Again, doing your research, I discovered the different functional areas, that are in the pharmaceutical industry, and again, tailoring um, I want to say, cutting down to some of my favorites, right? Especially, what functional area do I see myself in? Where would I ideally want to work? Going into the future. So that really helped me a lot, and I think the reason why I narrowed down to a fellowship was because I really wanted to um, I knew the fellowship will offer me will offer me a lot of things as far as, molding me into the professional that I really wanted to be. And I also felt like, the fellowship was a right fit for me. And I say this because I have a master's degree in pharmacovigilance, which is the area I'm currently pursuing, doing my fellowship. I could have got a direct entry role, into the pharmaceutical industry, but I just felt like the fellowship is going to give me so much training and understanding of what exactly pharmacovigilance is about. And I thought, that was, it's going to be really worth it. And it's going to also make me marketable as well when I'm done with my fellowship. So that was sort of my strategy as to why I pursued a fellowship.
Thank you guys for that valuable insight. So I know for me, because I'm getting ready to start looking around and putting in offers and shopping for jobs. So I think a big thing is like, at least I wanted to know. So how did you guys decide like which company was the right place for you to do a fellowship? Because I'm sure company culture and all those different things played a role. So I'm ready to hear you guys' perspective on that.
So that's a loaded question, and there's levels to it. I'll first say you pick your functional area first. So you have like your regulatory affairs, medical affairs, pharmacovigilance, health, economic outcomes research. If we have more time, I would dive into them. But you first pick like which functional area you want to be in, and then you look into which companies are offering a fellowship in those functional areas. And then third for me was like company culture. So the company I ended up choosing is brand new, organized. It's brand new. We've only been around since 2021. So we're going into our third year as a fully operational company. And for me, that felt like I could be on the brink of something like groundbreaking. We're the only company that's really focused on women's health strictly. That's like of our three pillars, that's the main pillar, women's health. So I knew there wasn't another company doing this. So I like being a part of something new. Also, I was presented with like a unique opportunity to be the first fellow in this position. So I felt like I was really, planting a seed and paving the way for people that can come behind me who are interested in medical affairs, who also want to be in the pharmaceutical industry. So it was just a really unique opportunity. I like being a pioneer when I can and taking on challenges. I do think that sometimes you have more established companies who have more routine programs and things are pretty much set in stone, but all of this is new. Of course, they had a plan for me when I got here, but there are some aspects of it that I'm building out with my manager now that we see what things work out like in real time. So that's why I pick organized specifically for me.
I chose Amgen first because the mission and values really stood out to me. One thing in particular really stood out to me is that the company is very competitive. And I see myself to be very competitive. Throughout my pharmacy career, I've been involved in many, many competitions. And of course, when you're involved in the competition, you got to win now. So I really appreciated that about Amgen, very competitive to win. So that really stood out to me because, again, I'm able to use the skills that I learned while being in competition, strategizing, kind of creating the plan, working with your team members to kind of think about how you want to, win, of course. So that is something that really stood out to me with the company. Also, the company is 100% remote. So another one, home is anywhere. So I was like, this company, this MG company is a good company. And then I also liked that it had different functional areas, like different therapeutic areas as well, different therapeutic areas. So not only is it oncology, but cardiovascular, so I can actually do projects in different functional areas, which is something that's important for me because I want to be a broad regulatory affairs specialist, and I think that allowed me to kind of gain experiences across the whole organization.
So for me, I think when the decision came, it came down to three things. First was, I was looking for a company that was going to give me a rotational opportunities. That was first. And I'll explain these things. I was also company culture also played a big role, as you touched on initially, and also the therapeutic area of focus as well, as Aaron mentioned. And I say rotational opportunities because at UCB, all of our fellowships are rotational. So regardless of the functional areas, rotational. So what I mean is, I'm in PV, and there are different departments within pharmacovigilance that you can work in, and the fellowship gives you the opportunity to experience each department to see, where you best fit, where you foresee yourself working post fellowship, and I love that. We're also given the opportunity to go to another functional area of your choice, whether it be in regulatory, medical affairs, clinical development, whatever it is, marketing, whatever. You also have the opportunity to rotate, in another functional area for 3 months, right? So I thought that was, that was very cool, right? Because what if I really don't like pharmacovigilance and I go rotate with medical affairs for 3 months and I fell in love with it, right? That's my calling. So I thought that was great about UCB. As far as company culture, talking to current fellows and employees who are already there to also gain true insights about what the company is about. I remember during some of my one-on-ones, while I was a student, I met with one fellow, and he just told me straightforward, I don't like it here at this company. I just feel like it's the rotation is not really structured. I wake up every day and I really do not know what I'm doing, right? So talk to people, get insight about their company. Some people are going to be real with you, some people won't, right? And appreciate those who are going to be real with you. So definitely, networking, talking to people, learning more about the company's culture. And lastly is the therapeutic area of focus. I think for me, areas where I excelled in pharmacy school were areas where I wanted to be an expert in, right? So like oncology, neurology, immunology, those areas were areas that I really excelled in pharmacy school. So I just felt like, again, that was my calling as well to, be an expert in that area. So those were the functional areas I was really looking for as I was applying to these companies during fellowships.
Thank you. I'm learning so much, so I'm enjoying this. I really appreciate it. So the next question that we'd like to ask is, what are some tips that you would give for people to boost their chances of getting a fellowship in the biopharma industry?
So it's a lot of things. Just depending on it's so many things I could say. First, I'll give just two short answers, so I'm not talking all day. One is networking, network, network, network. Like the saying, it's not what you know, it's who you know stands true in pharma on every single level. You will, you go to pharmacy school, you go to undergrad, you graduate, you earn those requirements, so you know what you know. But who you know is really important. Like how you present yourself when you go into a room, even if you don't talk to everybody in the room, figure out who's there, shake hands with some people, like ask questions. That's how I honestly met Justin Collins through the SMDP program in San Diego, uh, like 3 or 4 years ago. And then we were all finishing pharmacy school, and then we're all applying to fellowships at the same time. And so then that allows you to share information with what fellowships are coming up. That allows people, like, you never know who knows somebody that is connected to a fellowship. They could be doing the hiring, they could be best friends with the person doing the hiring, or they could simply, they might introduce you to their coworker who knows something. And like just being a genuine person and networking will get you super far. So I say network, network, network. And it's really about putting yourself out there. That could mean going on LinkedIn, adding people you don't know, but sending a polite message and saying, hey, I would like to learn about what you're doing. I'm interested in pursuing a career, similar to yours. Some people, they might, not reply, but people who genuinely want to help, they'll put the time out there and they will, give you answers and, just talk to you. Most people genuinely want to help. But be strategic about it. So plan. One thing Colin said, he looked into, the companies and he wanted to know, like, what is the situation like? I did the same thing, and I'm sure Jess did the same thing. You want to know, like, what are you really getting into? Don't be afraid to ask questions. It can be a little, like, unsettling to ask to meet with a fellow, but for the most part, everybody is a human being. So ask about the company culture. Ask those tough questions. What is it? What does a typical work day look like for you? Are you working from home, or are you going into the office? What is your manager's management style? How do they expect you to meet timelines? Deadlines. What is it like to work under pressure in this company? So networking and asking a lot of questions so that you really understand what you're getting yourself into. And then just don't be afraid to like really put in that extra work. Reviewing those personal statements, like it all seems real crazy throughout the process. It's stressful, but it's really worth it once you get to the next side and you put that behind you, and then you're really shaping out your career. So don't be afraid to put yourself out there. It does take investing in yourself, but it can be done.
To add on to what Aaron said, definitely your network is your net worth. During pharmacy school, I was very invested into going to conferences, just so I can meet different people. In conferences, you have people that's in pharma, that's not in pharma, and those connections, especially with the people in pharma, are the ones that are going to take you far. During our, fellowship search, I came across so many people because I always put myself out there on LinkedIn. If you're not on LinkedIn, definitely you're late. You should have been on it like yesterday. LinkedIn is going to be your best friend. Has so many opportunities on there. It tells you when fellowships are coming out. It tells you who the fellows are. It tells you everything. Me and Collins were able to connect with very, very high people in very different areas in pharma, and utilize our network to kind of get tips and strategies from people who are in higher levels and actually want our best interests. Something else I wanted to say is make sure that your CV is to the T, because especially when you're looking for fellowships, there's a lot of people that are applying, you understand, and there's only probably about one or two positions open. So you want to make sure that you really stand out before that they actually even see you. So you want to make sure that your CV is perfect. Like, honestly, the CV was the hardest part. I remember when me and Collins was going through it, and Collins was already getting stressed out. Me, I was like, oh, no, this is a piece of cake. This is a piece. Then when I finally started catching on, I'm like, no, this CV is actually too much work. Like, you be perfect, and then somebody's eyes will see something else, and it's like, yeah, the CV work is really, really a lot, honestly. And going back to the network thing for a second, I would say be vocalized, because I'm the type of person that if I know that you're interested in something, when I see something, I'm going to send it because I know that you're interested in it. So if you don't vocalize to even your friends or people that you trust, or find like a connection of people that are actually interested in fellowships, it's not about being competitive, or you're looking for a team member, you're looking for people to support you. Just because you and somebody else are interested in medical affairs doesn't mean that you guys have to compete against each other, you understand? Maybe you guys could strategize together, you guys could interview prep together, you guys could practice questions together, you understand? So it's very important to have somebody that you're going through the process with, and again, vocalize, so that way if somebody else is seeing like an opportunity for you that probably you didn't come across, they can send it your way. Because during this fellowship season, it's very important to try to get as much market interviews as you can, try to look for as much opportunities as you can. And not only, another thing I would say, like we mentioned, it's very important that I understand everybody wants a fellowship, I understand that, but it's important that you are really with the right company. Because like Collins mentioned, you could get the fellowship opportunity, but the guy was not happy with the company he was in. So what does that really say about the kind of experiences and the kind of skills that he's going to be obtaining when looking for a full-time job, when he feels like he wasn't really prepared in the experiences he was getting? So just as much as you're interviewing them, you just as much as they're interviewing you, you're interviewing them. Make sure that they have what you're looking for in a fellowship as well. That is very, very important. Sometimes, it is competitive. It very, really, really, really is competitive. But I know later on in this call, we'll be discussing other alternatives to a fellowship, because it's very important that you stick to your own values and your own wants and desires. for yourself and how, because only you know where you want your career to project in the future.
Yeah, I think Jessica and Aaron really said it all. But to top off, um, for fellowships, right? You want to start your preparation early, as Jessica said, as far as your CV goes, your LOI, your letter writers, giving them, months notice in advance, like, hey, I'm gonna need you to write me a letter of recommendation because I'm applying for fellowships. And also interview practice, practice. I can't emphasize that enough. I think, our fellowship cycle started in like September-ish. I started working on my CV in like June, right? Because I wanted to, be ahead of the game. Once the cycle opens, everything is ready to go, submit it. And also, Jessica, Aaron, and I, we all did what's it called? Interview practice together. Like, we were like grilling each other on Zoom, literally. I don't miss those days, but that is what has got me here. So, I appreciate those. And also be very intentional. That's my next point. Be very intentional in your approach. As far as, when you reach out to people to schedule one-on-ones, make sure you have excellent questions to ask them. You don't want to go into the one-on-ones and feel like, you're wasting your time. Make sure you ask them excellent questions as well. And sometimes we on this side, we're really impressed. When I meet with some students, the questions they ask me, I'm really impressed, right? And I'm keeping their names on my list. If they happen to apply to my fellowship, I could give them, a good word like, oh, I remember this kid. We met back here, asked very good questions and things like that. So make sure you have good questions. And also when you're applying to programs, do not just apply, right? Don't just apply to tons of programs just to apply. Just because you want to get your foot into the industry, right? So think about it. If you apply to multiple programs within the same company, at least for UCB, we can see, if you apply to different functional areas, right? So like this past application cycle, we had one guy who applied to all functional areas, we were open to. And to us, that was kind of like a turnoff, like, which one do you really want? Why are you applying to all 5 programs? So be very intentional in your approach. And also think about it. If you're applying to 20 programs, do you really have the time to do 20 interviews times 3? Because a lot of interviews are 3 rounds. So that's 60 interviews, that you have to do. Do you really have the bandwidth for that? You don't really want to get bent out as well. So something to keep in mind. Be very intentional in your approach.
I just want to throw in there also when you're reaching out to people, read the message like 2 or 3 times. Make sure you have their last name spelled right. Make sure, honestly, if you don't know them from a can of paint, me preferably, when I was reaching out to people, I addressed them as doctor until it became something else. People, on the other hand, they might be okay with you addressing them as, regular, with their name. But me personally, if you want to reach out to me, I'm sorry, you're just gonna have to call me doctor because when I was doing the reaching out, that's what I was doing. You understand? Be very intentional and actually pay attention. Somebody reached out to me saying, "Oh, I see that you're a fellow at a different company that I actually wasn't at." I'm sorry. I'm just not gonna respond. I'm just, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. I'm not gonna respond because it just shows that you didn't really, like it doesn't really show that you're actually really interested in speaking to me. Maybe you're actually interested in speaking to somebody, but it's not me that you're actually interested in speaking to. You understand? So fellows are very busy. So definitely come prepared and definitely come, like Colin says, with good questions because it's going to show that you actually are serious and you actually want answers.
Yeah.
Before we move on,
Attention.
can I double down on the fellowship buddy on that
Go
fellowship
right
buddy
ahead.
aspect? Yeah, like that got me through, and just meeting Collins, meeting Jess, like we were sharing fellowships, so I'm learning about other fellowships, and then I was working with someone named Ashley leading out of UCSF, so like we're doing practice interviews, reviewing each other's CV, and just as much as you want somebody to take you serious, you do the same for them. So like go through their CV, go through, read the letter of intent, be honest, give genuine feedback, and then it just gives you somebody to be supportive, to say like, hey, we're gonna get through this. We both gonna get fellowships. We both be in the industry, and then also accountability. So I would say find you a fellowship buddy, somebody that you can hold accountable, and that who will hold you accountable.
Thank you guys. Did you have any other comments you wanted to say? Because you guys were on a roll now. Y'all had some good stuff to say.
I'm telling you, for the
Oh,
for the sake of time,
Because Jessica
y'all was just rolling. I
oh,
was like,
excuse
ooh,
Dr. Jessica,
Doctor,
excuse
you
me,
know, you
was
gotta
preaching.
not free, you know. Now that I'm actually on the side, you gotta approach it as such, you know. Not to be offended, you know, but we're not on the same level, you know. You just gotta show your respect a little bit, you know. I think that that really shows that you actually want to learn from the person, you know, when you actually value the fact that, okay, hello, doctor, so and so, you understand? Actually shows that you're looking for advice, you understand? One thing else I would like to say is that definitely what was very hard for me is that I've been very, very, very involved since P1 year. So it was very hard for me to kind of pick the exact experiences that I wanted to highlight. I'm not really sure if anybody else on the call is like that, but definitely sit down and look at your experiences and see exactly what you want to speak about and make sure that you know it like the back of your hand. Because, and also anything that you put on your CV, be ready to speak about. Because now that I'm actually on this fellowship round, my preceptor, for example, everyone had the different parts of the fellowship, like of the fellowship interview. So obviously, as a fellow, I will ask questions based on like your skills, like, okay, this is what I'm doing. Tell me about the time you did this. But my preceptor now will be like, oh, I think that you did this at this company. Speak on this, especially if it's industry related, especially if it's like leading something. He wanted to make sure that you actually knew, like you could actually speak on it. So don't put something on your CV that you cannot speak on, and don't minimize your CV. Like if you feel like you actually led something, if you actually led something, put bullet points on there. Just don't say that you led one thing without explaining what your role in was in. When you put something, actually explain what your role is. What did you do? How did you make it better? You understand? So it's different. It's different. It's not just about making sure the CV is perfect. It's a lot. It's about what you put on it. It's about how it's being said. Like CV work is a lot of work, and I really underestimated it because it was so hard for me to kind of minimize my pages, like because I felt like everything was of quality. Like I did so much stuff, you know. So definitely you have to sit back and kind of see like what experiences do you actually want to bring out, what experiences kind of align with the position and the skills and the description of the fellowship that you think will provide those transitional, you know, those experiences that they want to hear. And
Oh,
And one thing
oh,
I do
Eric,
want
you
to say
got
too,
something? Hold on.
yeah. So and you know I'm here now, so I'll just say like when you're applying to a program, read the brochure 4 and 5 times over. Like I'm not ashamed to say now, like there was a point I did an interview, and in the informational they mentioned there was a specific drug that the fellow would be working on, and me being like overzealous and not taking my time, I looked at this company's pipeline ready to speak on their antipsychotic drugs. And in the interview, one of the questions halfway through was about the specific drug that they asked about. And I had to be honest, I wasn't prepared for that specific drug. So like, thank God I was able to still get in a good place and somewhere. But read that brochure and make sure you know exactly what you're getting into and can talk about it, because they're gonna ask like, why this company, why this fellowship, why this functional area. So yeah.
Thank you all so much. I really appreciate each and every one of you for coming out. Like, y'all dropped some wonderful gems tonight. Like, I feel like I can take this with me. I'm sure everybody else can. So, you got some comments you want to say?
Y'all was on the roll. I like this. Thank y'all so much for coming out and just speaking to everyone and letting them know like how to get this fellowship, because like it's very competitive, and I just congratulations. I'm proud of all of y'all.
Yes, all of y'all are phenomenal.
Yeah. I also
Yeah.
wanted to say, feel free to add me on LinkedIn. Have any further questions? I know this was a very short time, but if you want to meet one on one, I'm open to it now. So take advantage of it while I'm putting an opportunity out there now.
Hey,
Because
till we get busy
it's
again.
gonna get busy later on. So that's why I'm giving you guys the opportunity now. So
And one thing I wanted to say is definitely trust the process. Like, oh my God, it's a mind blowing, tedious mental process. Like, honestly, I really thought that I was gonna have nothing, y'all. I really thought I was gonna have nothing. No, as dramatic as it sounds, I really thought so because honestly, everybody was getting something, whether I felt like they deserved it or not, and they was getting the opportunities that I felt like I deserved because of all the experiences and skills that I obtained. But definitely trust the process, and not only that, just it's not you, it's not anything. The only thing you could do is do your best. That's why we are emphasized CV, LOI, letter of recommendation, do your part. Because then if you don't do your part, then it makes it easier for somebody else to just get it. But so far as you do your part and just try to, just try to do the best you can, then there's nothing else that you can do. There's nothing else that you can do. But definitely take it easy on yourself because it is not an easy cycle at all. But like Colin said, definitely reach out on LinkedIn. Definitely add my Instagram page, dose.of Adderall. And yeah, definitely feel free to reach out. Definitely feel free to reach out.
Yes, y'all, the power of networking. So we all about networking. We'll keep you guys updated when we'll do our next networking event. And please sign up for the Scientist Mentoring and Diversity Program that is due by April, I believe. So get those applications in. And thank you all so much. And please feel free to connect with us, reach out, and we hope everyone has a wonderful evening. And thank you to each and every one of our guest speakers. I really appreciate you guys. And so glad we met through SMDP.
of course.
Oh yeah, of
Bye,
course.
y'all.
All right, guys. Have a good night.
Good night.
Boom.